Hi, my name is Brenda Isaac Takao, and I'm here today to do a little demo of my style of mixed media collage. And I say my style because, wow, there are a lot of different mixed media things you can do out there. So what we're going to be demoing on is this picture that I've already done. We're going to sort of copy it, maybe not quite perfectly, but it'll be similar. So we're starting off with a canvas that's already got a background color on it, just to save some time. The colors that I've used are a phthalo blue, cobalt teal, along with some white. Now you might be able to see there's a little bit of differentiation in color, just to create some interest, but it's not really that different. And so I want to create more interest in it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some yellow and some titanium white, and I'm going to create some more color differentiation and texture on this background. I think we'll just use a paintbrush, and we're going to mix this up a bit, and we'll just get some of that on there. Now this is going to be a messy process because that's the fun of it, I guess. And I'm just going to spread it around. And I want to create some texture in it. Now, texture can be done so many different ways. I've got one of these Catalyst mini thingy wedges. I don't know if it's a wedge or what, but so I can use that to create some texture. Let's see if I can blend it in a little better, like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a little more texture with a stencil and some modeling paste. Actually, no, this is not modeling paste. You can use modeling paste, or you can use this is a matte, super heavy gel. And it is just like matte medium, but really thick, or like gel medium, but really thick. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna sit this right down on the canvas. And I'm gonna use my palette knife to apply the gel. So, and then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna get the gel on the back of the palette knife, and maybe not too much gel and maybe not too high up on the knife, just because that way it gives me a little more control. And we'll just add a little bit over here. And there's so many different ways. You can apply it heavy, you can apply it light, depending on how much you want it to show up. So that is good for that. It works pretty well. Next, I'm going to create even more contrast by adding a darker color again. And this is a Prussian blue alcohol ink. And put a drop on and just see where it goes. Sometimes these are really fun. Sometimes they're really annoying too. It's another one of those instances where you're going to put some on and take some off, probably. I'm gonna spray it, and then we start to play. And you start to see how it's moving on its own. And then all of a sudden we got these little, and I'm like, I'm not sure if I like that. So if I dilute those little, sometimes you like that, and then you leave it, right? Well, I think I want that to go through my stencil. And oh yes, I like it when it drops off the side. It adds some more interest for the sides of your canvas. So we'll just let it drop off the side. Now, you're gonna wanna let that dry for a little while. Depending on how hot it is and how dry it is where you are, maybe several hours. So let's set that off to the side, and I'll bring out my magic second canvas. So the first thing is something on the stenciling spots, just to make it go bling. And that would be gold paint. But it's a little bit translucent, so you'll still see the color. But what that does is it just creates a little bit of bling and a little bit of more interest for the background. You can always take some off. The next thing we're going to be working on is the paper. Papers can be from a book, they can be magazine, they can be handmade papers, they can be stenciling papers. There are a world of papers out there to explore. Let's put that up there and we'll look at the papers I've got. I've got 2 colors for the dark, for the background. I was considering using this color, but I don't think I will. I just think that's too much. So there's 2 ways to do this as well. So you can cut papers or you can tear them. And so I'm just going to demonstrate tearing. So tearing, so the difference is control, first of all. When you're tearing paper, the paper does what the paper wants. And the other thing, when you have a white back on a paper, tear towards yourself if you don't want the white, tear away from yourself if you do want the white on your piece that you're going to. So I'll just tear one. And that's pretty simple. That's just a sort of a flower petal. I mean, it's an abstract flower, but it's flower-like. So then you have the light papers, which I'm going to cut because it'll create some contrast between a sharp edge and a jagged edge. It's a good lesson to learn, whether it's differences in contrast, in textures, in whatever it is. And as I'm getting these sort of laid out, I'll tell you that I always use a matte medium. I'm arranging these so they look good. That is the first color, and then what I did was I went ahead and went in between with my second color. That's good for the first layer. Looks good to me, I think. I might arrange a little bit as I go. I use a cheap little brush because it's glue and, you know, things get gummed up. Just a little bit of water, dab it off. And then I'm going to sort of touch the bottom so it stays in place. And I put quite a bit of matte medium on there. Some people do not put the medium on top. I put the medium on top because 90% of the time I'm putting other media over top of the paper, and I don't usually want the other media to soak into the paper. But that is something a person could try. It might create interesting effects. Of course, I would try it ahead of time and make sure you like it before you do it. And of course, things will move around, so you just take your time, put them back where you want them. There's a little bit of patience involved. This is just a tedious process. It's just, you gotta just do it. And then we have the second layer. And of course, this is the next stage where you pretty much need to let it rest. This is the stage where I guess I call it embellishment. When I'm using alcohol inks, the way I'm going to be using them is I practice. Because, well, that's looking pretty good so far and I don't want to mess it up. So, because then you start to see how it's going to move on your canvas as well. Okay, so I just love this. Can you see how it's sparkling there? That's just beautiful. Okay, start with my gold. In the center. And the last one, we'll do a top over here. Done with that. Now, The last thing is, with this sort of, I guess my style is I'm always trying to create contrast. And so what I want to do is darken up. I want to darken up the background papers. So I go in with my pencil. Let's go where the alcohol ink is probably drier. This is probably going to be another case of back and forth. And for some reason, I like the watercolor brushes for this. With these watercolor brushes, you squeeze them to get the water to come out. And you can go for quite a long time without having to squeeze it. That went well. All right, next. I'm basically trying to create more contrast between the darks and the lights in the painting by doing this. And it sort of creates a shadow. If I think about where my bottom is, I'll try and create more of the shadow below other things. Well, I am pretty much done. There you have it, folks. That is Mixed Media Collage Brenda style. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you learned something a little bit along the way, and hope you have a great rest of the day. Take care.